I've stumbled across all this information that all the world's scientists haven't. I imagine people are really grateful once they hear what I've got to say. We live on a flat plane. Most people think we're weirdos, but I'm not really like that. I'm more of an open-minded naturist, as it were. So where do you think we are right now? Yeah, Brighton Beach, but more specifically, see, mainstream education will have us believe that we're floating on a spinning ball, moving at 1,000 miles an hour. That sounds a bit fucking mental to you. See, I trust my eyes. I don't need some educated scientist coming along telling me what to think. I think my own thoughts. Thank you very much. I've done my research, and why would I take the research of someone else over the research of myself? Do you know what I mean? That's like me relying on someone else's memories over my own. I've had people questioning my credentials, but they don't understand the sort of education I've had. My education was special, you know. If you look over there, you can quite clearly see France. I mean, you've got to really try hard and really want to see it and kind of imagine it's there, but you can see it.
How long have you been into all of this?
So about 5-6 years now, flat Earth in particular. I got into it trying to debunk it, and the thing with the flat Earth is it opens up a lot of other doors, because before you work out whether or not the Earth is actually flat or a globe or whatever you might think it is, you have to know about other conspiracies. So there's a lot of groundwork to do first. You know, you've kind of got to deny a lot of what you call reality in order to get to flat Earth. But it was YouTube that really started me off of it. Like I say, I started off trying to debunk it, and then about 5-6 videos in quick succession, and there's a lot of people who reckon stuff. I was like, that's quite a lot of people. That's more than one hand, and as a rule, if I can't count something on one hand, it's important. That led me on to memes, which are easily digestible, especially when they're laced with popular culture references. That reminds me of my childhood. From there, it just sort of snowballed, really, into a full-time career and general influencer. Some people have called me a celebrity. I imagine that statistic is going to go up with this, once this is released, wouldn't you say? You know? But I'm ready for it, you know. I'm sure I'll get people recognise me in the street in a positive way this time. They do now sometimes, but usually it's things like, you fucking idiot, is what they say to me, and what the fuck are you talking about, mate? So I'm looking forward to the positive side of being a bit of a face about town once this is done.
Are there any YouTubers that stand out in particular for you?
Yeah, there was one that he's actually responsible for quite a lot of people waking up. He's he basically he's a yoga teacher in Dubai, and the deal is you pay a subscription fee to him, and he tells you the Earth's flat. It's a bargain. It's a good way for him, I imagine, of funding his cushy lifestyle without having to do any work. It's always a plus, I suppose. You know, he's one of those people that he was one of the visionaries in it, because he got all the information there ready for us all to have a little look, put it together, swished it round a bit, and here we all are, you know, living our lives like it's golden. Easy experiment anyone can do, right? On a clear day like this, when the weather's calm, the water's settled, and you can see clearly defined the flat horizon. Get your hand like that in this position, otherwise known as the flat position. We're all agreed in this context that is flat, yeah? So if you just hold up your arm in line with the water line. At no point is there any curvature of the water line behind what you're seeing of your flat arm. And you don't need any equipment for that. That's the sort of science I bring to people. You're welcome. I just feel like I've stumbled across all this information that all the world's scientists haven't. Obviously, I consider myself a scientist, but I'm more like alternative science, whereas mainstream scientists like Neil deGrasse Tyson and stuff, they're all about the showmanship, really. Each to their own, you know. I don't hate on him as much as some of the others do, you know. I've got a bit of a positive attitude towards what you call conspiracy theories. I mean, most people think we're weirdos that live in basements or hang about in bushes in dark, seedy corners of the world, but I'm not really like that. I'm more of an open-minded naturist, as it were. It's taken me on a journey, definitely. Seen all sorts of psychedelic things when I've been on psychedelics, of course, but those are the sorts of substances that help you open your mind and see things in a different way. Right, we're here with Professor Dan Albrighton from the University of Sussex. Pleased to meet you, mate. How you doing?
Hello, nice to meet you.
Dan has very kindly invited me to his home, which is it's pretty rare that any of these people let me anywhere near them. So he's a professor from the University of Sussex. He is a well-published scientific author of several bestsellers, is that right?
Yeah.
He's very well respected amongst his peers, as I've been reading. So with that in mind, what makes you think you know more than me about everything?
All the things you just said.
Yeah, but what does all that mean?
Well, it means I've been studying the universe for all my professional life. I've had my findings and publications extensively scrutinised by my peers, and they've looked for flaws, and the result is that my knowledge is as conclusive as it can get.
But have you done your own research?
What?
Part of my day, I tend to like to try and get out there into the public as well, being man of the people. I like to share everything I've learned, and it's a case of trying to wake people up. I only wish I had people like me around to wake me up long before I wake myself up, but I didn't. So I imagine people are really grateful once they hear what I've got to say. But this is always quite a good spot. You get some tourists around, some locals, and you know, there's nothing more rewarding than going up to someone when they're minding their own business and just saying, here's what I think about everything. You can tell that the powers that be know about me, that trying to drown me out. They know we're filming. Obviously, they know the sort of information I'm sharing. I don't want to say I'm a targeted individual, but I'm probably on some sort of target board somewhere in the head office of the global elite, where they all sit round talking about me. I imagine entities a bit like maybe Shredder from Turtles or something like that. That's how I like to fantasise about it. That way I really feel like I've got a powerful enemy that I'm fighting, and again, if you're trying to market something, it's good to give people a bit of perspective and nostalgia for their childhood when they think they're effectively a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. Let's just say that all the powers and the forces at work, they're not all human. I believe we were visited by a race of shapeshifting aliens years ago, centuries ago, decades ago even, and they've basically been here ever since, living amongst us, controlling everything we do. Fair play to them, but, you know, I'm not having it. They didn't reckon about me, did they? They were like, we can enslave the entire population of the human race. But they underestimated me, you know, with my special knowledge. I'm their worst nightmare, effectively. I'm the one that could throw a complete spanner in their works. I'm basically the one that can save the world. Right, let's see if we can get hold of a member of the public to share my knowledge with. Got to... He looks like a laugh, doesn't he? Excuse me, mate. Hi, how you doing? Can I just ask you a question?
Yeah, sure.
How you doing?
Yeah.
Have you ever heard anyone talking about the flat Earth theory before?
Kind of, but
No?
don't really. Yeah, what's this for?
They did a documentary about me.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, because I've got special knowledge, and I know I probably I don't want to assume, but you probably haven't. Do you watch YouTube at all?
A little bit, yeah. I do watch YouTube, yeah.
So you've got access to the evidence.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So have you ever seen anything about people believing in the flat Earth theories and stuff
I've
like that?
never watched one. No, it seems a bit wild, a bit crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, you haven't entertained the idea that we could all be wrong, or you lot could all be wrong. I mean, I don't want to say I'm a hero, but that's kind of how a lot of people see me. So,
Right.
yeah, it's. Do you think there's anything to it at all, or I'm just trying to work out how much I need to convince you of?
I mean, it'd take a lot to convince me that Earth is
Well,
flat.
luckily, we can do a quick experiment right now, actually. So we're just gonna, like, if you hold that, this is a level, yeah, right. Scientists will believe, or have you believe, that we're living on a spinning ball,
Yeah.
that's going at 1,000 miles an hour, and the water's sticking to it.
Yeah.
But as everyone knows, water always finds its level, and a way that I can prove that, this is literally an object called but if you didn't know, this is called a level.
Yeah.
People use it in construction and stuff like that all the time.
Yeah.
If you see the flat horizon,
Yeah.
and we marry that up, and I adjust it to fit what I'm trying to say,
Yeah.
I'd say that that's proof, don't you? I do my own research. Like all the things that I know about science, I've literally gone out there myself and done an experiment to prove that. What about your knowledge have you actually researched yourself, or is it sort of mainstream books and education?
Well, I'm not an experimental physicist or anything like that. I'm a theoretical physicist.
Oh, well, yeah.
But, well, explain why you think your theory of the Earth being flat is valid.
Well, I've done my research.
Go
I've done
on.
my own research. So, first of all, there's just some fundamental things that don't work on a flat Earth. Is that right? Yeah, fair enough. Fair to say. Like mainstream science, no offence, will have us believe that we're on a spinning ball. Yeah, but everyone knows that water finds its level. Yeah, if you put water in a cup, it becomes a cup. Put water into a teapot, it becomes a teapot. Put water into a bowl, it becomes a bowl. I've got experiments I've done. I actually film them as well, and I like to go out there and really sort of, yeah. Here's one that I've done. It was just sort of, so you know how people think that we're on a spinning ball, and
Yes.
water can stick to it. It's mental. I've proven that water can't stick to a ball. You know, you put water into a cup, and so on. Have a look at this, right? This is again another easy experiment. So, globetoads will tell you that we're on a spinning ball, and water sticks to it. I know it's fucking mental, but that's what they think. So, you know, it's like a religion, isn't it, I suppose. But how do you disprove it? Very simply. I've got what's a fair, accurate interpretation of the globe. So this melon represents the globe, as it should, why wouldn't it? It's pretty like for like, I'd say. Nothing different about it. Because gravity is still only a theory, so they reckon that we have water sticking all around us, as we previously talked about. That's why it's called sea level, because water always finds its level. This is what happens when you do pour water on a melon. As you can see, most of it ended up on the floor, a little bit on me, but it's the sort of price I'm willing to pay for all the sciences. Yeah, that's the kind of experiment I do. I don't know if you're familiar with any of those sorts of things.
But that's just you pouring water on a melon.
Yeah.
That doesn't simulate the planet Earth in space.
Well, I know, because the planet's not a globe. I've made a few friends in this, not quite as many as I've lost, admittedly, but, you know, they're all right. Like, there's other flat earthers, but I don't really necessarily think of them as friends, more people who are in awe of me. But there's a couple of the guys, they, just like I've got my YouTube channel, they've got their own YouTube channels doing what you call science, but I call pseudoscience for obvious reasons. I'm regularly in touch with a few of them. It's good to get on there and debate and just sort of, you know, if the great thing about a debate is if you've got thick enough skin, you can refute any fact. You know, whatever they come at you with, I'm just like, nah, you're wrong.
Let me explain how science works. So, a scientist will have an idea called a hypothesis, and he'll want to test that, or she will want to test that hypothesis, and then they will come up with an experiment to look for data, to test the hypothesis, to look for predictions that are made by that hypothesis, and when they've got enough evidence, enough data, they'll publish the results in a scientific journal. And then that scientific paper will be reviewed by thousands and thousands of scientists all over the globe, and they will be checking for evidence, and they'll be looking for flaws, and they'll be trying to disprove the hypothesis. That's the scientific method. And if they can't disprove it, and if all the evidence agrees with the hypothesis, it then becomes a theory, or scientific fact, if you like. And that can take years and years and years of testing and testing and testing, and then eventually scientific consensus is reached. And that's the scientific method.
Sorry, in case I missed it, have you done your own research or not? I've heard echo chambers getting a really bad rep over the last few years, but I promise you they're good. Echo chambers come in all shapes and sizes. You know, you've got political ones, you've got scientific ones, and that's kind of why I've got a bit of empathy for all these people that believe in the heliocentric model, because their echo chamber is the mainstream media and science, and that's damaging in itself. You know, so they can't see that because they're just so far down that rabbit hole of facts and logic that nothing I say sometimes really makes much of a difference. But you can see every now and again, you plant a seed in someone's head, usually somebody a bit vulnerable, maybe they've just gone through some sort of trauma in their life. You can really pinpoint that and find a way to get into their imagination and just, you know, penetrate that, like that mindset. And you know, I've seen once proud people, like proud, strong, with it, got their life together, sorts of people that as soon as they get into this, everything changes for them.
The point is, look, we're not talking about just a little bit of an experiment, we're talking about years and years of experimental evidence. And you've got to have years of experimental evidence with other people checking your work to see if it makes sense,
yeah,
and if they can reproduce those results, and if the theory is predicting those results. You're just pouring water on a melon.
Have those people done their own research?
Yes.
I've actually got a debate coming up tomorrow night with a guy called FTFE, Fight the Flat Earth, moderated by a guy called McToon. If you've seen some of my other videos, which some of you may have, some of you may not have, you'll have seen some of them popping up over the course of my YouTube antics, shall we say. Funnily enough, that's McToon calling now, just to make sure we're all ready for the debate we've got coming up. So, anyway.
Hey, Brian.
How you doing? You alright?
I'm calling to remind you to make sure that we're ready for the debate that I'm hosting between you and Craig, FTFE.
Yep, cool. I'm all ready for Saturday. No problem.
No, it's tomorrow. Friday.
Saturday. No. You always do this. You always pretend that you got the days wrong, and it's like, that's just, it's their way of getting out of it. But, you know.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
Look at, all right, I just read the DM. That's why I'm calling you. So it's tomorrow. Can you do it tomorrow, or do we have to reschedule?
I can do whenever you need me to do it. I mean, I don't need to. I'm not bothered about, when I destroy you guys. It's just a case of it's going to happen either way. So, I'll do it. We'll do it both tomorrow and Saturday if you want. But
It's okay.
yeah, just know that once again, this is them kind of, trick me and stuff like that. But they do this. They go online and they're like, they forgot the wrong day. These flirts can't, And flirf is it's a term I don't know how I feel about, but we'll leave it.
You're good with flirf?
Yeah, I can. I mean, we can say it. It's one of them, in it, bit like other sort of,
Oh, you can call yourself a flirf, but other people can't call you flirf? Is that your... Oh, okay. Yeah. Anyway, so it's 10 o'clock your time tomorrow.
Saturday. What day is today? What's today?
You said you could change it, so...
Okay,
but
is that...
DM, it's tomorrow, 10 o'clock. I need to hear 10 o'clock, because last
10
time
o'clock.
you also got the date wrong.
10 o'clock.
And the time.
Tomorrow.
10 o'clock your time. Yep.
Our time. Or your time.
Yeah. Not my time, your time. All good.
Okay.
10 o'clock.
Okay, and Craig's okay. He's going to bring a pillow because when he gets butthurt again.
In case he falls asleep?
Well, that was a one-off. That was a one-off. He was tired. Is the reason he gave. So.
That's a one-off. All right, perfect.
Cool.
Yes. We'll be sure to have a pillow in case we fall asleep. But yeah, tomorrow, 10 o'clock. All right, we'll see you there.
All right, buddy. See you soon.
All right, we'll see you.
Ta-da.
Bye.
See, they're lovely fellas. Some of these, in spite of us not seeing science the same, I can get along with them. You see, we've got a bit of a relationship where there's a mutual respect there. I think it's respect anyway. How do you explain how the tides work?
Well, this isn't my field, but it's quite a well-known process how tides work because the Earth is spinning.
I know how tides, yeah.
And at the same time, the moon, which revolves around the Earth, has a gravitational pull.
I do have empathy, as you know, but that's where, and with all due respect, it's the education system's fault. It's not yours. Space isn't real.
Space isn't real.
No.
What do you mean?
You've seen Star Trek, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. So effectively, what they learnt from Star Trek was that they can convince people there is such a thing called space. I know, mental, innit? But really, we live in a confined container on a flat plane. So none of the heebie-jeebie voodoo stuff you've seen on Star Trek, Star Wars, same thing. But
then what's outside the container?
Who knows? That's the beauty of
well, we all do know. Space is space-time,
okay,
actually.
So you can't answer that one. Hi,
Brian, hi. Come in, go through, yeah. All right.
How are you?
Yeah, I'm very well, thanks. How are you?
Very well. This is my friend Rosie. She's my special friend. Not special
Hiya.
friend. Not special. Well, most women are special in their own sort of. I'm going to get this away.
Yeah, you go on through to the kitchen.
How you been? You alright?
Yeah, I've been very well, thanks. What about you?
Well, just the usual bit of truthing. Bit of YouTube, as always. It's important. Someone's got to do it.
Yep.
I'll start putting some of this away. Do you have a chopping board? I'll get the lunch on.
Oh, hold on. If it's meat, use this one.
Why?
Because it's raw meat.
What's the difference? It's still,
Raw
I'm still
chicken.
chopping it though.
No, raw chicken, different board.
I like to let it, yeah. I'll do that anyway. So, yeah. Have you got a knife?
Yep.
Oh, thank you very much. That's fantastic.
Here you go.
Cheers. I like that one. That's quite nice and sort of flat, isn't it? So, how have you been?
Oh, I've been all right. Same old.
Yeah.
What about you?
I've had a date recently.
How did that go? I was going to ask.
It It started off well.
Yeah.
It did. It started off well.
Was she nice?
She was lovely. She was lovely. It was all going well, and then I mentioned the shape of the Earth, and she was a bit taken back by why you know. But I do understand she's not ready, and it's not really. I don't want to. I'm not one to try and dictate in a relationship. I'm not like, you know. Eventually, of course, I'll dictate.
Yeah.
But at first, I've got to accept that somebody might think something different to me. But that's just part of getting on with people in life, isn't it? I suppose.
That goes there. There we go.
How long have you known Brian for, and how did you two meet?
I've actually known him since he was a little kid, because I was good friends with his dad, who very sadly passed away when Brian was in his early 20s.
What do you think of all the stuff that he believes in?
I mean, it's bonkers, isn't it? I kind of, you know, I nod along. I don't want to undermine Brian, but I just tune it out, you know.
Brian seems to think you rely on him to look after you. Is that the case?
Oh, I'm really happy if he thinks that, if it makes him feel needed. That's lovely. But it's kind of the other way around. You know, Brian's been ill for a long time, and he was in a bad way after his dad died, and I promised that I'd always be around and keep an eye on him. Brian's suffered from chronic depression for several years, and there's been times when we've all been really worried about him. All his friends seem to think he's a joke, and his brothers, I think, resent the amount of time that he spent with his dad and how much his dad cared for him. But in a funny way, all this conspiracy stuff seems to have kind of breathed new life into him, almost given him some kind of purpose in a way, because really it was so sad to see all that potential go to waste.
Flight paths. Why? Like, so if the Earth was a globe,
Yeah.
flights would be able to just go anywhere around it, wouldn't they? Like, they would just sort of spin wherever they feel like it. Like, you wouldn't really have to even coordinate it. But because of the flat Earth, you have to have all these like special units, like airports, if you will, that are together communicating to make sure they don't collide. And that's what they do on the flat plane. It's vital. If it was a globe, we wouldn't need all this. We wouldn't need.
Why wouldn't you need it on a globe? You've still got the same issue about you can't have planes colliding.
You'd have a lot more space, and then you could just sort of, if you thought you were going to crash, you could just keep going and going. It's like circling the block.
Yeah, but the Earth's a very big planet. It would take you a very long time to go around it. So they want to save fuel. They don't want to.
We've established it's not a planet as we think, though, wouldn't we? So
well, no, you've said that, but you know, the Earth is a globe, and you can't just fly all the way around it until you land. You've got to go from A to B in the shortest possible journey. I don't see how your theory about aeroplanes really proves it's.
Sounds mental, I know, but it's not.
Was there one particular thing that caused Brian to become this way, do you think?
Yes. He lost the love of his life.